lesson that you'll never forget.
Kids Church! I love these things!
No, mate, get up. You just
It's his favourite present.
Morning, morning! Hey kids, how are you this morning? I hope you've had such a great week at school or wherever you have been last week. Now, who loved seeing their faces on the telly this morning? Now, don't worry if you've not seen your faces yet. We have got another part 2 of news because you've sent me in so many things. I've loved it. I loved seeing you do the quiz that we did last week. There were some pictures of you with all the scores, and there were some pictures of you doing sparklers and listening to fireworks, and there was a few birthdays. Just so much. I've loved seeing your news, and don't worry, the news is coming a little bit later as well. Now it's time for some worship. And who is Miss D? I have Miss D. So D, have you got a song for us this morning? brilliant. Oh, love that song. And it's so nice to have Dee back with us this morning. So thank you, Dee, for leading us so wonderfully in worship this morning. Now it's competition time. I love this bit because every week we have competition time. So every week somebody is going to be winning a prize. So who guessed where Martin was in the world last week? So Martin, where were you in the world?
Did you get last week's answer to where in the world? So, where in the world was it? So we are here. Now, if you said France, which is just there, you are a winner. Yay!
France. Who got France? If you got France, your name is in the jar. So, let me shake it. Let me put my hands in. You know what, I think my hands are getting fatter. Right, let me have a little look. Oh, have I got one? I got one. Oh, I've got one. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Oh, it is Sophia Allen. Oh, well done, Sophia. There will be a prize on the way, so look out for that in the post. Now, talking about competition, should we have another one? I think we should have another one. So Martin, have you got another where in the world for us this morning?
Competition time. Well done if you did last week's. Now for this week's where in the world. So I'm going to go to another country that's miles and miles away. Now, what does this country look like? It looks like this. It's a very funky little shape, that, isn't it? It's an island. And the capital city of this country is Tokyo. The flag, it's a cool little flag. This is the flag, it's just a red dot. Have you got it yet? Now the language. They want to say hello, they say konnichiwa, konnichiwa. Counting. They say ichi, ni, san, yon, go. Ichi, ni, san, yon, go. Very famous food from this place. Maybe you've had this, maybe you've gone to Wagamama's or somewhere like that. And they've got sushi. Sushi, very famous. They also have a famous kind of wrestling in this country. These are the big fellas that do some wrestling. It's called a certain thing. I'll let you try and guess and find out what it is. And the final clue is that you may know some of these characters. These Pokemon are from this country. So, have you got the country? Where in the world?
Oh, that's a little bit trickier, isn't it? It's quite a funny shape, isn't it? Who has managed to guess where Martin is, what Martin was talking about? What part of the world? Oh gosh, I'm getting all very confused this morning. Let's start again. What part of the world was Martin talking about this morning? If you've guessed, please send me in via WhatsApp or my email address, and your name could get picked out of the jar next week. Now, we've got a brand new theme for the next couple of weeks. We're going to start to talk about Moses. Now, Moses is a man in the Bible, and we're going to have probably a couple of weeks of Moses stories, and then we're going to talk about Christmas, and then in January we're going to pick up the Moses story. Now, to kick us off this morning with Moses, Jill is going to tell us about baby Moses. So then, Jill, what are you going to tell us about baby Moses this morning?
Today's story is about baby Moses, and it's taken from Exodus in the Old Testament. There was once a nasty king of Egypt, and he was called a pharaoh. And he did not like the Israelites. He thought there were too many of them. All these descendants of Abraham frightened him. He didn't like them at all. There were so many of them. I think he thought they were going to take over. In fact, he did. He was worried they were going to take over and take Egypt away from him. There were 2 million of them. He needed a plan to get rid of them. I know, he thought. I will make them slaves. I will make them work so hard they will be worn out. They'll be carrying bricks. They'll be digging in the fields. They'll be so tired. I'll make them slaves. So that's what he did. So the Egyptians made the Israelites slaves. They were mean to them. They worked them really hard. They had to carry heavy loads and had no rest. They were absolutely worn out, and they were really, really unhappy. It was a hard life, and they weren't happy at all. But all that time, God was taking care of them. He was taking care of the people of Israel, and more Israelites were being born. God was blessing them, and there were more people being born. And over it all, God was there protecting them. And that's the same for us, isn't it? Even though we can't see him, God is overall protecting us all. Well, Pharaoh wasn't happy. His plan wasn't working. He was trying to get them to work harder, hoping that they would be worn out and that they would be too tired then to take over the kingdom. But his wicked plan wasn't working, so he thought of a more wicked plan. Can you believe it? An even wickeder plan. I know, he said. I know what I'm going to do. I won't allow any baby boys to be born. I won't let them live, so they can't grow up to be soldiers. So that's what he did. The king was so wicked, he told the Egyptians to get rid of all the baby boys so they could never grow up. But Jochebed had a baby boy, and his name was Moses. And she said to her daughter Miriam, just look how beautiful our baby boy is, your baby brother. I will not let the king harm him. I've got a plan. I'm going to hide him. So she tried to hide him, but as he got bigger, he was making more noise. So she had another plan, and she made a little boat, and she put the baby in it, and she floated him in the river among the bulrushes. She didn't leave him on his own. She had Miriam, his sister, watching over him. So Miriam used to go down to the river while he was in the little boat and watch over him. But then one day, the princess, so Pharaoh's daughter, came wandering down to the river. I think she was going to take a bath in the river because it didn't have baths in those days. She came down with her maid, and she looked in the river, and she said, look, there's a poor little baby in that river. I can't leave him there. I'm going to have to take him home with me. But Miriam was watching all this, and when she heard the princess saying that, she came up with a plan. She ran up to the princess and said, oh, princess, you can't look after the baby. It's too much for you. You're too busy. Why don't I get a Hebrew woman to look after him, to feed him and nurse him and to look after him? Yes, said the princess. So Miriam got her mum, Jochebed, so Moses' mum, to look after the baby. Isn't that a perfect plan? The princess told Jochebed and Miriam to take the baby home and to look after him. Jochebed was so thankful to God for protecting the baby. And when the baby grew up, Moses went to live with the princess in the palace. And he was safe in the palace with the princess, but his mum had brought him up. It took great courage and faith to do what Jochebed did. She kept her son safe, and he was part of God's plan to change a whole nation. No one stops God's plans.
Brilliant, Jill. Who loved that? I love the drawings. Very, very clever and very good artist. I really enjoyed that story. And how great it was that Jill ended with how brave Jochebed was. And she was so faithful, wasn't she? She had so much courage, and courage means to be brave. She was very, very brave because she really wanted to keep her son Moses safe. So thank you, Jill, for that story. Next week, we're gonna find out what happened to Moses next. Now, who wants a little bit of kitchen chaos? I want a little bit of kitchen chaos. So it's another Christmassy kitchen chaos, and I think he's got some very, very yummy chocolate brownies. But Master Baker is back, so it's not going to be as chaotic as usual. So, Alistair and Glenys, how do we make these yummy, yummy brownies?
Hello! Kitchen Chaos today is visiting the Bake Off kitchen with the Master Baker, and we're going to do an old friend, chocolate brownies. Oh, everyone loves a chocolate brownie. Now in Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24 we read that there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother, and that's Jesus. Just remember when things are tough that Jesus is always there for you. And it's just a simple message today, and it's a good old friend, the chocolate brownie. Enjoy. Now the recipe could seem a bit challenging, so I think it's always good to break it down into sections. So here we go. It's a 3-stage operation. Mix, melt, more mix. 4 stages. Bake. Just bake, will you? Here's the recipe for the salted caramel brownies. 200 grams of butter, 100 grams of chocolate, 100 grams of other chocolate. So we'll call that 200 grams of chocolate, shall we? A can of carnation caramel condensed milk, golly ollie, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, or ordinary salt if you like, 200 grams of golden caster sugar, 4 medium eggs at room temperature. Oh, that's interesting. 130 grams of plain flour and 50 grams of cocoa powder. And in the mixing bowl, ready to be mixed, is 200 grams of sugar, a tin of this stuff, Connie Oni caramel version, and a teaspoon of salt. And we're about to put 4 eggs, what have been just whisked up with a fork, and then down goes the paddle and on goes the new mixer. Yeah! But as I said before, you could do this just as well with a wooden spoon. Chocolate and butter are on a very low heat, being constantly watched and gently stirred. Glossy chocolate and butter mix is all ready to... That gets put in with the eggs and all the other stuff that we put in before and gets stirred up together. In again with the cocoa powder, and the white stuff, the flour. Mix that all together. So there's that tricky batter being swept into a flat baking tin lined with baking paper to non-stick it. So we'll just scrape the bowl. These silicone spatula things are really good for cleaning the bowl, aren't they? And then we'll level it off, tap it hard, and pop it in the oven. So we have the oven quite hot for this, 180 degrees on the fan, conventional, gas mark 7 for 30 minutes. And here's the result. Lovely chocolate, salted caramel brownies, yummy for mummy.
Wow, like I don't think I've ever thought of putting that caramel condensed milk in a brownie. Don't think I've ever done that. Well, we're going to do that because we like to make brownies in our house. We make brownies quite a lot. Now it's time to say goodbye. But before we say goodbye and before we pray, I think it'd be really great just to recap what we've learned this morning. Now, I think our theme this morning has been courage, hasn't it? Because Jochebed had so much courage. She wanted to keep baby Moses very, very safe. And this is what I absolutely love about this story. He was part of God's plan to change the entire nation. No one stops, and this is what I love about the story, that no one stops God's plan, not even an evil king like King Pharaoh. No one stops God's plan. So if we can just remember that story this morning about Moses, and remember that story about Jochebed, about the courage and bravery she had. And I think it'd be really great to pray and just ask God that He will give us that courage and bravery this week for whatever we are facing. Just remember, God's got a plan for you. No one stops God's plans. Let's pray. So everybody do this, everybody do this, and everybody do this. Oh Lord, we just really thank you that you love us so much. Lord, I pray that you will give all of the children bravery and courage and faithfulness this week. So whoever they meet, whatever they do, they will just be brave, and they would just have so much courage to do it if they're feeling a little bit nervous about something. And we're just so thankful that no one, not even the evil King Pharaoh, will stop your plans for our life. So Jesus, I just pray that you will just keep the children safe this week and bring them back safe for next week. In Jesus' name, amen. Now before we go, I'm going to say bye now, but we're going to see the rest of your news. So enjoy the news, but I will see you next week. Bye.
1, 2, 3, blow! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Callum. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, thank you guys. Shall we all blow it out together?
3,
2, 1, go!
Hooray!